So today I'm in conversation with Sarah Sarju, now Sarah Chase. Sarah is a PhD student. I'm in absolute awe of Sarah's accomplishments, and I'm of the opinion and the belief that Sarah has accomplished so much at a very young age because of her mindset. And today I just want to learn from you, and hopefully the youngsters that are listening to this particular interview will take a few lessons and pearls from your journey, but with the absolute assurance that anything is possible. And so, Sarah, when I look at your journey, I see it in three phases. I see your schooling, I see the next phase 2 as a university, your experience at university and your years at university. And then the last part that I want to cover today is your journey into your application and securing a spot on a PhD program. So that's the part of your journey that I want to focus on, because as I said, I'm in absolute awe of what you have achieved at such a young age. So let's kick off with your schooling.
Okay.
Your parents took you out of mainstream school, and you started homeschooling.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Whose decision was it? And why was it necessary to take you out of mainstream school?
Absolutely. So I started homeschooling when I was 15 years old, and I believe I was going into grade 9 at that point. And the reason why I decided to do homeschooling was because I wanted to earn a full scholarship to play tennis in the United States. And I knew that if I wanted to earn that full scholarship, I needed to be practicing tennis between 6 and 7 hours a day, and that wasn't possible if I stayed in mainstream schooling. So when I started homeschooling, I was doing schoolwork for about 3 to 4 hours a day, and it allowed me to travel and play tournaments so that I could increase my ranking, increase my skills essentially on the tennis court, so that I could later achieve that.
So let's pause for a minute. You said that you knew then that you wanted to earn a scholarship to a US university. What age were you when you made that decision? And why was it so necessary for you to earn the scholarship?
I'd say I was probably about 13 or 14 where I decided I wanted to study in the States.
13 or 14 years old.
Yes.
You knew that you wanted to study in the US.
Yes, I did, and play tennis. So study and play tennis as a student athlete. And it was important for me to earn that scholarship just because education in the States is very expensive, and had I not had that scholarship, I probably would not have gone.
And at 13, you knew that, well, there's a possibility that you could use tennis to qualify for a sports scholarship to get into a university in the US.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So, how did you find this information? Were you guided by your parents, by your teachers? How did you know? I mean, at 13 years old, not many of us know. We just want to play outside, or well, at least that was me. I just wanted to play outside or go swimming. But how did you know, and what caused you to be so focused on the tennis, on the scholarship?
I think at 13, tennis was something that I was just very passionate about. I enjoyed playing tennis, and I just wanted to do my best to push as hard as I could to see how far tennis would take me.
At any time, because it's not coming out, so I'm going to ask the question. I hear scholarship, I hear tennis. At any time, 13, 14, 15, was there an intention for you to play professional tennis?
Yes, there was. So initially, the goal was actually to play college tennis and after college tennis go on to play professional. Some people do it this way, so some athletes do it this way. Others go straight professional from high school, but at that time my parents actually pushed me. They said the education part is very important, if not equally as important as the tennis part, so they did want me to do both at that time. And initially the goal was to play college tennis and then go professional after that. But while I was in college, I actually really enjoyed the finance aspect, the studying aspect, and as I completed my degrees, I decided to go into corporate as opposed to continue the tennis career.
Awesome. So you finished your degree?
Yes, I did.
Well, before we go there, you landed a full scholarship.
Yes.
And you studied at the University of East Carolina.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about university.
Okay. So it was definitely a challenging transition for me going from South Africa to the US. I was 17 when I left, so still quite young, but fortunately going onto a tennis team as a student athlete, I had a built-in network essentially. So there were 8 girls on the tennis team and I became very good friends with them. I had spoken to the coach several times before I had actually got to the university, so I felt relatively familiar with the coaches at East Carolina. I was a student athlete, so that meant that I was studying and I was representing the university in tennis. The universities take very good care of their student athletes. I received the full scholarship, which encompassed tuition, accommodation, meals.
So let's just pause there. What did you have to do to achieve the full scholarship?
It started from a young age playing tennis, of course. I think having the dream, the goal, desire to achieve that full scholarship and then working toward it.
Okay, but you play tennis.
Yes.
Okay, so you might not necessarily be good at tennis.
Okay.
Okay, so what did you have to achieve as a tennis athlete in order for you to gain or secure that scholarship, a full scholarship? I'm assuming that there's partial scholarship.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
But you received a full scholarship.
I did until Lewin. So my grades had to be good in school, and I also had to have a high ranking, nationally and internationally. A tennis ranking, yes. So I had to make sure that I played a lot of tournaments within South Africa so that I could build that ranking up. I think it was top 5 or top 10 in the country when I was being recruited by East Carolina. And then I was also playing outside of South Africa to build my international ranking.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so you've secured your scholarship, you're now at university.
Yes.
What are the lessons learned? What pearls can we take from that experience while you were at uni?
Yeah, I think one thing that my father always tells me, and he told me a lot before I left for university too, was that you won't always be the most intelligent person in the room, but you can always be the most hardworking. And I've tried to embody that in all that I've done, and I think that just the raw work ethic, day in and day out, putting in the work, I think that can get you a lot of the times to where you're looking or where you want to go. I know that when I played tennis, there were so many people who were extremely talented, and a lot of people, actually even my parents told me, Sarah, you don't really have as much talent as other people do, but you work very hard. And I think that they said that that's probably one of the biggest strengths that you have. So I'd say just that work ethic, and then enjoying the process finding a good community and enjoying what you're
Yeah.
walking through.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had the support, and you made
Yes.
sure that you connected with your coaches before you left.
Yes.
You had support in your team.
Mm-hmm.
When you got to the US, you were very young. You were 17
I
years old.
was.
And so you finished your degree.
Yes, I did. The scholarship was actually a 4-year scholarship, so I had funding at the university for 4 years, and within those 4 years, people typically will do their undergraduate degree, and I decided that I was going to push as hard as possible to study as much as I can within those 4 years. So where advisors would typically advise the students to take like 5 or 6 classes per semester, I was trying to take 8 or 9 classes per semester just so that I could do as much as possible in that time. So I ended up completing my undergraduate degree in the 3 years, and because I still had an additional year of the scholarship left, I decided to do my MBA. So when I left, I had an undergraduate in finance and then my master's as well.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. So in the 4 years you did your degree and MBA.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
So you absolutely capitalized on the 4 years.
Yes.
That you were there.
Yes.
Then you came back home after the 4 years.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I did. Coming back to South Africa was a little bit difficult at that point because I had started homeschooling at 15. I didn't really have a base here. I didn't really have friends. So it was a bit challenging, but I was very fortunate to secure a internship in a private equity firm. I worked there for about a year, and then I also worked at Citigroup in investment banking. And I started March of 2020, so just as COVID was beginning here in South Africa. And I think it was difficult because I wasn't going into the office, I wasn't really interacting with the people on
So you
my
didn't
team.
connect with your colleagues.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And I learned a lot in that experience, and I think being in investment banking, it also helped me to realize that I didn't think at that point I wanted to go the corporate route. And I started actually applying for PhD programs at that point.
So you started applying while you were
while
at
I
home.
was working, yes,
Okay.
in South Africa. Yeah.
So your first applications, how did that go?
So the first cycle of applications, not very good actually, Auntie Loreen. I applied in 2 consecutive years to universities in the US for PhD programs. The first year I applied, it was about 10 schools I applied to, and I was rejected at 9 of those schools. One of the schools gave me a maybe, yes, and I ended up not going to the US that year, and I decided to then apply the following year. I applied to about 10 or 11 schools, and the next year, that year, I was accepted into 10 programs. So I had a nice selection from them to choose
and
from.
you chose
I
Notre
chose
Dame.
the University of Notre Dame.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Yeah. The University of Notre Dame actually didn't have a PhD program that year I was applying, so I would have been part of the inaugural cohort. I thought that would really be a lovely thing to kind of help set the culture of this new program. My advisor, who I now work with, he was one of the main reasons why I chose Notre Dame. Also, the prestige of the institution. Notre Dame is well known around the world. And it also helps to set me up well for when I graduate from the university and look for other jobs.
Awesome. So what year are you in?
I'm currently in my 4th year. It's a 5-year program, so almost there.
Almost done.
Yes.
Almost done.
Yes.
As I said at the beginning, I'm so in awe of your accomplishments.
Thank you.
You know, you got onto the program at 25 years old. You finished your MBA, what, 23?
Something
like that. So you've done exceptionally well.
Thank you.
As I said, I do believe that it has something to do with your mindset. Would you agree? When I hear your story, I think of absolute discipline, dedication, just absolutely laser focused in terms of what you want to do, and you started at a very, very young age. So you're currently in your PhD. What is your next steps?
So I have just proposed my dissertation. This year I will look to defend my dissertation, and then I'll be on the job market. So once I graduate, the goal would be to be an assistant professor at a university in the States. I would also like to do some consulting too, so just balancing those. Yes, absolutely. And I think for now, staying in the States, but at some point in the future coming back to South Africa.
Oh, is that part of the plan?
Yes, it is. Okay. I would love for it to be part of the plan.
So my last question is around faith. You come across as a very solid, stable person or young woman. Where do you think faith, or do you think that faith plays a role in what you've done, in the decisions that you've made?
Absolutely, and I try my best to keep faith at the core of all that I do. Over these years, I've definitely seen God's hand over my life in such a beautiful way. Just one example is how I met my now husband.
Oh yes, we have to speak about that.
So in 2014, obviously I went to study at East Carolina University, and out of all of the universities in the world, God opened all the doors for me to be at East Carolina University, and of course that's where I met Chandler. So I was playing tennis, Chandler was running track, and we just became very good friends. So I think that's definitely just one example. And even with Notre Dame, the fact that it's the inaugural year of the program that I was able to be a part of, and the housing, my accommodation, really the doors opened. It was a very tough market to find housing at that time. I remember I was actually hiking Kilimanjaro, and I was trying to look for accommodation at the University of Notre Dame, and they were telling me actually accommodation is full, and I didn't know what I was going to do at the university. And I hiked Kilimanjaro, came back down, checked my emails, and I see that my accommodation had been secured. So it was really just the hand of God over all of those decisions.
And every step of the way, I mean, I just see it as, everything that you've just said, I just see the hand of God, the hand of God, the hand of God. So I was at your engagement.
Yes.
And in your speech, you made a very profound statement, and I want to end with that. And the statement that you made was, God opened doors, but there was also many doors that He closed. And a lot of us don't actually reflect on the closed doors, and we just think that we just didn't get what we so desperately wanted. But in your youth, with such amazing wisdom, you say, you make that statement. God opened doors, but He also closed many doors for me. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yes, I will. I think at the time when the doors are closing, it really doesn't feel nice. I'll say that first. And I think it's only after like a year, 2 years, you can see, oh, this door was closed for this reason. Like the example that I gave with the PhD programs, those 10 programs that I applied to in the first year, the schools were not as prestigious as any of the programs I applied to in the second year. And in the second year, I got into all of those programs. So God has something better waiting for me. I just had to stay where I was, keep working hard, and keep trusting in His timing during
His
that.
timing is amazing.
Yes, absolutely.
In closing, is there anything that you want to add, a question that I haven't asked, and something that you would want to leave the listeners with?
Absolutely. I think for anybody who's thinking about applying to a university in the States or even a university in South Africa, maybe you play sport, maybe you don't. My advice would be to believe in yourself and not to doubt yourself. Don't underestimate who you are and your potential. The journey ahead is probably not an easy one if you want to go very far, but just keep working hard, doing the things that you need to do, taking small steps in order to get to where you are trying to go.
It's a journey.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
gracing us with your
Thank you
presence.
for having me.
And I wish you everything of the best as you come to the end of your PhD and the beginning of your new chapter with
Thank
your
you.
husband, Chandler. I wish you everything of the best, and I
Thank
do
you.
believe that it's just going to be onwards and upwards with in terms of where you're going. I think you have everything that it takes.
Thank you.
When I said at your bridal shower that you're just so disciplined and so focused, and I think those are two critical skills or competencies that is required for success. So I wish you everything of the best
Thank you.
in 2026 and beyond, and I look forward to you coming back to South Africa and
Thank you.
teaching here.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for having
Pleasure.
me.